Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today I will talk about two topics. What is the CCP's time and space pandemic surveillance that we think only exists in science fictions? And why is it scary? And exactly how the CCP's online content surveillance works. How many steps are there to ensure that the internet is clean for the CCP? In our last episode, we talked about how 46,000 people were locked inside Shanghai Disneyland and how a total about 120,000 people have to be quarantined for 2 weeks only because one woman who had visited Disneyland on the previous day was just tested positive for the CCP virus or COVID-19. Right now, this new round of outbreak has reached 20 provinces in China, and different strains of virus have emerged. And unlike the policies that are adopted by other countries, the CCP is still holding fast onto its zero out or zero tolerance policy, which means they have zero tolerance of the virus and they need to eliminate every single case as soon as they find one. Is that possible? I think common sense science and the experiences of the past year have told us that it is impossible. But the CCP has nonetheless imposed this mission impossible upon itself and the entire society. So to achieve this mission impossible amid the latest round of outbreak, the CCP has worked out a new time and space pandemic surveillance method, as well as some fancy terms to go with it, such as time and space overlap and time and space companion, etc. What do all this mean? Let's look at this picture first. So the person in blue color in this picture represents someone who is tested positive for COVID. The person in yellow who has stayed together with the infected person for more than 10 minutes and within an 800-meter long and 800-meter wide square will be classified as a time and space companion of this infected person. So how large is an 800-meter long and 800-meter wide square? It is 640,000 square meters, right? And that is nearly 7 million square feet, or about 90 standard soccer fields. So if one infected person appears somewhere within a range of 7 million square feet, or about 90 soccer fields, anyone who stays inside this range for more than 10 minutes together with this infected person will become a time and space companion, and his or her health code will turn from green to yellow. Then these people will receive a text message from the authorities to tell them that they have now become a time and space companion. And then what? They must report to their communities and take 2 tests within 3 days. If the first test result is negative, a second test must be done within 24 hours later. If the second test result is still negative, this person must continue to do self-health monitoring for 14 days and avoid going out during that period. So this is to say you have virtually lost freedom to go out for 14 days. Since this new method was adopted from November 3rd up to now, in only 3 days, 82,000 people in Chengdu City in Sichuan province in China have received notices either from the Public Security Bureau or from the CDC. So this means that 82,000 people have become time and space companions. And how many confirmed cases are there in Chengdu? 4. So 4 cases, 82,000 people affected. So the above are the policies and situations in Chengdu, in Changsha City in Henan Province. In Hunan Province, the policy is like this. If your health code turns yellow, you should immediately report to your community, village, or workplace. If, after investigation, it is decided that there is no need to take you away for centralized quarantine, you need to do self-health monitoring for 7 days. And while taking every possible precaution to protect yourself and others, you should go to a designated testing site to do the test. And you need to do 3 tests in 7 days. If all the results are negative, you can then apply to have your health code turn green again. After the city-level CDC approves your application within 14 days, you can go out under a controlled and orderly fashion with the proof of a negative test result that is valid within 7 days. However, you still need to avoid going to public places or participating in group activities. So what do you think about all this time and space companion? What a fancy and a romantic term. Actually, someone in China wrote a love poem about this term and this new pandemic control method. So this is the translation of that poem in English. I've walked the road you've walked. Can that be counted as a date? The wind that blew on you is now blowing on me. Can that be considered an embrace? Within 800 meters, I didn't have the luck to rub shoulders with you, yet now you ask me to wait for you for 14 days. The ginkgo leaves are yellow. It's the fall that's playing tricks. Sorry. My health code is yellow. Should I also blame the fall? I heard that maple leaves turn red in winter. Will my health code turn red too? Oh, my heart is racing. Some say it's love, some say it's passion. Oh, no, it's just the pandemic. Well, how do you like the poem? Sometimes I do admire Chinese people for their ability to laugh at their own miseries. But I was not in that good a mood. When I read the news about the time and space control method, the first thought that came to my mind was, in order to find out those time and space companions, the authorities must connect, store, and analyze the data on the location of everyone's cell phones. On the other hand, in the name of pandemic prevention, the authorities can now connect everyone's data openly and tell everyone openly that your data is in our hands and everyone is quickly adapting to this kind of life and this state of affairs that we thought only exist in science fiction. Imagine that everyone's every move is now in the hands of the authorities in real time. So how much does it cost for the authorities to connect, store, and analyze everyone's data? And what level of big data centers do they need to build to do this? Is it really necessary to spend so much on this? This morning, I saw a video that really breaks my heart. Little kindergarten kids lining up like animals or slaves, each with a big health code sign hanging on their chests, waiting to do the test. Let me show you this video.
早上接到那个通知说让全部学生然后做核酸检测，然后每人必须有一个码，你把那个码然后打印下来，然后让家长发给老师，老师打印下来，然后下午就开始挨着去核酸检测，常常。
Well, what do you think after watching this? What terrifies me more is that this video was played on China's official media platforms as something positive to praise how the kids behaved themselves so well, they were waiting so patiently and in such an orderly manner, etc. So the CCP is trying to make everyone become accustomed to such a new way of living and feel happy and proud about it. Why does the CCP have to zero out the virus? Because it needs this achievement to prove that its system is better than that of other countries. Tyranny is better than democracy. Control is better than freedom, etc. That's why, unlike other countries which rely mainly on vaccine and herd immunity to fight against the pandemic, the CCP has adopted a very exaggerated and hysterical strict control approach, insisting on eradication of the virus altogether. They do not consider whether this is scientific or achievable, whether the cost to society is too much, or whether it causes too much inconvenience and suffering to the public. The arrogance of power makes them feel that they can do whatever they want. On the surface, they seem to be saying that we have absolutely power and the ability to control everything, when in fact, everything the CCP does carries an inferiority complex that is inherent because of their lack of legitimacy to rule. That is why they often do things in very ridiculous ways without realizing it. It is very sad that many people do not see through this, and there are even people in free societies who are confused by the CCP and think that the CCP has managed society well. They even want to learn from the CCP. I tell all this to remind everyone how far the CCP has gone in terms of controlling everyone and everything. I think this pandemic should also make us think about some important questions. Should we really change all the basic principles of the past for the sake of the so-called pandemic prevention? If we can give up our basic principles today for the sake of pandemic prevention, we can also give them up tomorrow for some other things. Then we'll give them up altogether. Next, I will talk about the CCP's internet surveillance. When I talked about former CCP Premier Zhang Gaoli's sex scandal in my last show, I said that without some sort of behind-the-scenes operations, the article that exposed this affair couldn't be posted on Chinese social media platform at all. If you haven't watched that video, please do go back to take a look. The host of Zoom In and my personal friend Simon Gao reveals in her latest show the process of the CCP's internet surveillance she learned from her source in China. So the steps are: 1. Machine censorship or AI censorship. There's a huge database of sensitive words and phrases, and each word or phrase has different points. For example, the word Xi Jinping has 100 points. The premier's name 90% points. The names of retired members of CCP's Politburo Standing Committee has 50 points. Sexual relationship 15 points. Evidence 10 points. Pollution in Beijing 50 points. Church 50 points, the moral integrity 10 points, etc. So if the total point of a post reaches 100, this post will be automatically deleted. If it does not exceed 100 points, the machine review or AI review is passed. The second step is to manually review the article. If manual review is passed, the post will be published. Then you think that it is over now? No, it is not. The third step is, if after a post is published, the number of people who like, comment on, or share this post exceeds a certain number, say 200, this post will be subjected to a third review by a human being. If the third review is passed, but the post is still very hot, the number of people who like, comment on, or share this post exceeds 500, it will be reviewed for the fourth time by a higher level internet reviewer who has received more advanced level training about what to censor. According to Chinese media Southern Weekend and TikTok's parent company ByteDance's operation center in Jinan City alone, there are as many as 3,600 employees whose sole job is to monitor the online content. So you think the internet can bring free information to us? On the contrary, it has become another tool for the CCP to spread propaganda and to create a false world for the people to watch and see. Lastly, I have one more point to make. Someone left a comment on my video to call for membership signing up and donation and said that, you are limited massively, but what about your fellow Chinese, the unbrainwashed ones? There must be some who have the resources, personal wish, and super bravery that could sort much of your money issues. And my reply to him is this: unfortunately, I don't know any super brave, super rich Chinese who are willing to support me financially. Even if there is one, I'm not sure whether I want to receive his or her money. If you receive his or her money, will you listen to his or her suggestions or even orders? What if you don't agree with him or her? I'd rather call for help from the general public. $5 per month is not much. If enough people give me $5 per month, I can continue with my work without considering whether I should practice self-censorship so that YouTube won't put a yellow flag on my videos. So once again, I'm very grateful to everyone who watches my video and supports me in any form. Your support and encouragement is what gives me courage to carry on. Thank you so much. That's all for today. See you next time.